What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 266 of the Cheesy Controller Podcast. I'm your host, Anton LaPlatte. Joining me, as always, we have the Mecha Stardew Valley, Chris Montalbano.
I don't actually remember what I was going to say. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
We got the most generous squid in the sea, Jalen Roberts.
I swear, they have the same daddy but different mamas. They're siblings.
And we got a jam-packed episode for you guys this week. We're going to be talking about Tekken 8. We're going to be talking about Georgia tax law. We're going to be talking about Pokemon. And we're going to be talking about gacha game crossovers.
About some Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. Dead Fantasy still, like...
Oh, Dead Fantasy. Fucking Rip Monty. Just,
yes, honestly, Rip Monty. That church scene in Advent Children has just... So, before we hit record, we were talking about... Chris was like, were we supposed to go see a movie this week? And I'm like, no, that's next month. We're going to see Advent Children. But I was saying that we fucked up because I wanted to watch it dubbed just because there are so many like amazing like god tier level shit posts like translation things about that movie. But we're watching it subbed, which is okay. Like, I mean, the action and it's still going to be, It's probably the better way to watch it, honestly. Considering this is the first time the complete version's coming to theaters. Because even, so, for the uninitiated, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children is the movie sequel to Final Fantasy VII. It takes place a few years.
Yeah, it was created as part of that big Final Fantasy VII push that Square Enix did.
You mean the one they're currently doing? Like, it pales in comparison to the one that they're currently doing.
I feel like, honestly, the only difference between this one and the one that I'm talking about is... No, it's the same amount of games. Because it was 2 games, Dirge Cerberus and Crisis Core.
Well, now we're getting like
4 remakes.
We've gotten Crisis. We got 7 remake. We are getting 7 rebirth. There's 7 remake intergrade with the intermission, which this battle system in Rebirth, I'm so stoked.
Yeah, it's about to go off.
But yeah, so Advent Children. Advent Children is the movie sequel to Final Fantasy VII. It's like what happens a few years after the events of Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like extra canon now. So all of these things were canon, and there was like a timeline of games that you could play to get the full story of Final Fantasy VII. And so like Crisis Core was the prequel that came out, and then there was Dirge Cerberus that takes place even further after Advent Children or some shit.
Yeah, I thought Dirge was in between Advent Children.
Might have been.
Look,
Dirge is just
Vincent
like...
got a game, and it's a fucking weird-ass game.
Yeah, but they brought back characters and stuff from that in the Yuffie DLC. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they go with Rebirth, because obviously they're saying that Crisis Core Reunion, like the story of Crisis Core and Zack dying, is still canon, but y'all should really play Final Fantasy VII Remake and the Intermission DLC to see how that's going. I mean, Zack is in the promo art. He's on the box.
He was in the trailer.
Yeah,
he was in the trailer. He was in multiple trailers.
He's on the fucking box. That's the craziest shit to me. I'm like, dude. So he's supposed to be dead. So, but obviously he's not dead because he's on the box art for the game.
Unless they're planning to make us watch him die again.
Yeah,
Then
probably.
bring more
That'd be
people to
really
tears.
sad.
That's definitely what happened. Zach dies, immediately breaks down into tears.
So it's still canon.
It seems like this is an alternate timeline. Like the remake games are an alternate timeline based on the knowledge and the learning. Like not making the same mistakes again in the timeline.
Chris, you saw the Evangelion Rebirth movies. It's that.
Yeah,
but
that's
for Final
true.
Fantasy VII.
Okay, cool.
Speaking of Ava,
That's
just
the
put
best
this
way to put
story. Ava is having a crossover with Tower of Fantasy.
I'm not surprised. When it comes to gacha games and crossovers, the one crossover you do not want them to have is a Persona 5 crossover.
Yeah, Persona 5 will murder the game.
Yeah.
Damn, really?
If you get a Persona 5 crossover,
that was
you're
like
fucked.
a whole trend of like games being like, we have a Persona 5 crossover within a year. End of service. It was like a running theme.
Is Smash Bros the only one that never got like?
Well, Smash Bros isn't a gacha game.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the thing about it is you're immune to this by not being a gacha game.
Yeah, like Catherine has Persona 5 crossovers. Persona 3 Reload's going to have Persona 5 crossovers. Like, those are all fine. None of these are gacha games.
Yeah, Dragalia Lost
I was about to say Dragalia
they just died.
That was a shared brain cell right there of like, yeah,
look,
fucked up Dragalia Lost.
I was enjoying Dragalia
even though
Lost
I think
too.
Grand Blue has one, and Grand Blue.
I feel like Grand Blue and Fate are the only two franchises that could be an exception to that rule.
Yeah, because they can do whatever they want and be completely fine. I think Genshin can get away with it.
Huge following.
Yeah, Genshin could get away with it. Shit, Honkai Star Rail could get away with it.
Zenla Zone Zero could really get away with it.
I don't know about that one. We'll see.
I mean, from the people I've watched people stream that game, and they enjoy it. The Hoyoversers.
But this is the thing about gacha games is it's real easy to enjoy the first 3 hours of a gacha game are great. Best part of the game 95% of the time. The real question is, are people still going to play it after you get past the 3-hour mark? And that's the real question. Because a lot of the videos that people have made playing Zenless Zone Zero are the first couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Knowing Hoyoverse, though, it'll get a lot of support and a lot of... But yeah, Ava, the last game I can think of with the Ava crossover that... Because I've played, like, a little bit of Tower of Fantasy. I didn't even get far enough to do my first poll. It's that much of, like, an intro to a gacha game.
Because that's also the biggest problem with gacha games, is that they have mobile thought process when it comes to the tutorialization. So you end up in a situation where you can't adjust the volume settings until you've played it for 35 minutes, and that's a crime. That should be a crime. And so that does make it a lot harder to actually like really engage with it. Because it's like you don't even get access to the it's just strict hand holding.
Yeah. Well, at least there was a story. There were cutscenes. There were like QTEs for like the intro of Tower of Fantasy. But also, it was like a lot of this feels really boring and generic.
Because it is. Because it's designed. Because it wants to get you. It's one of those things where it's like they need to tutorialize it enough so you know what you're doing. Because people skip tutorials and then complain about how the game doesn't work. That happens all the time. But but some of this is just like you legitimately don't get to play the game for 45 minutes.
And I feel like that's kind of become par for the course. And because these games are so successful in other markets, like most of these things is kind of like now that gotcha games aren't just JPEG collectors, now that they're like 3D model NFT collectors,
Hey, they hold more value than an NFT.
they do, which is like that's the funny thing is we made the joke when NFTs were first happening that I think the name of the episode is like our Pokemon NFTs, and it's like Pokemon actually hold more value than actual NFT on the blockchain, like a legit Pokemon.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You can trace his lineage back. You can get his papers, see what contests and ribbons.
Got the Pokéfax report.
The Pokéfax report.
I have some Pokemon that would not pass the Pokéfax. Because I was like doing wonder trades, and then it's like I got a perfect IV level 100
Oh,
shiny
yeah.
something, and it's like, I don't feel like this was obtained legitimately.
I thought you were talking about Pokemon that you just had dragged through the mud.
Oh no, yeah, like those. That's actually good for a Pokemon to have an actual track record and actually have
Yeah.
been
Yeah, that's some
used.
history.
And,
That's real history right there. It was loved. It went
Right.
on adventures. Like,
Yep. I
Shout
got a
out to
lot of
all of
Pokemon
our-
that ain't been on no adventures.
Shout out to all of our HM Pokemon out there.
Those at least got adventures. I got a Beaterel in Pokemon Home that knows cut, surf, waterfall, fly.
Fly? Oh man.
I
What
will
was it
say,
like Gen 3 that had like 7 or 8 different HMs that were required for you to use?
Yeah, it was
They all
Rock
had seven.
Smash, or
it was
Boulder-
cut, rock smash, flash, strength, waterfall, dive,
Whirlpool.
fly, and whirlpool.
Yeah, that was Gen 3.
Yep.
Like Gen 2 added Whirlpool and Waterfall, but then Dive had to be added. Then Rock Smash, you legitimately had to use Rock Smash in 3. I don't remember having to use Rock Smash in 1 or 2. Was Rock
Nah,
Smash
you had
I
to use
don't
rock
think-
smash to get
HM
through
in
Cleffa
one?
Cave.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so I guess if we're in the realm of Pokemon, I shared we are exactly 1 month out from Pokemon Day 2024. And so, of course, the 4chan leaks have started.
There are some good ones, not going to happen ones, but like they're really good.
You got some things you want to see?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess we'll go through these and just highlight some of the things. One of the rumors is Pokemon Concierge Season 2 is going to be announced.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems likely. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow coming to NSO. That one I'm like, that's a little bit too good to be true. And then this next one is on this same one. There's going to be a HD 2D remake of Pokemon Gold and Silver, and it's coming November 15th. Developed by Leica for Switch and Switch 2. The Switch 2 version has ray tracing. The final announcement is a new concept similar to Pokemon Legends, but not the same. It's based in Unova. Named Pokemon Hexagon, exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2.
I mean, I think it was that same post that had like red, blue, and yellow, and then immediately went to HD 2D Pokemon Gold and Silver. I was like, no. I mean, that'd be awesome. But that's
I
not
just
gonna
want to put
happen.
that energy out there. Because
Yeah.
we've been clamoring for a
I
Final
do want a
Fantasy
gold.
6 HD 2D.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Because they
Right.
did Live Alive and they're doing Dragon Quest. I think it's Dragon Quest 3 that they're doing in HD 2D. So like Final Fantasy 6 would be a great candidate. But Pokemon Gold and Silver HD 2D would be just like God tier. So that makes a little bit too much sense for them to be announcing that at Pokemon Day. This
Yeah.
next one, it talks about like raid events. It talks about the Mochu Mayhem event, which is like the epilogue to the Scarlet and Violet DLC, and it's saying they're going to be thanking players for the success of the game and the DLC. But one of the new games in this reported leak, like, and take all of this with a grain of salt. Probably, absolutely none of this is going to happen. Don't get your hopes up for anything. The only thing I will say is that we're going to have probably an event happen in Pokemon Go because the stuff that's going on currently is set to end right around then. So we're probably going to get a new, like,
Yeah.
they're going to probably introduce a couple new Pokemon to Pokemon Go. Pokemon Unite's going to get an update. Pokemon Cafe Remix is going to get an update. What else? What are the other throwaway Pokemon games? Somehow Pokken.
Pokken.
This is how Pokken returns.
It's just the exact same game as the Wii U one, missing the characters from the Switch one.
Oh my god. I hate how that's probably what's going to happen. If that were to happen, that's exactly how it would go down. That's awful.
So the one from this is there's a new mystery dungeon entry. It's going to be called Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Hall of Fame. Entei, Raikou, and Suicune will play main roles in this series, while their Paradox version will be major antagonists at the very end.
That'd be tight.
That would be sick.
really
See, that's what I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for. Something like that.
That's the thing. Nobody played the most recent Mystery Dungeon. Like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was hit or miss throughout the entire series. Like Red and Blue Rescue Team were great. Then I want to say Explorers of Time and Space.
Explorers of the Sky was really good.
And then nobody really played that Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon for the 3DS, even though that one was like, we're going to have mega evolutions, like the story's going to be crazy, we got all these Pokemon to work with, and it just didn't seem like anybody played that. And then they did a remake of like the original Red and Blue Rescue Team with like all the content of both of those games, because Red was GBA only,
split,
and
split releases.
Yeah, so they did put all that content into one version and put that out on Switch, but apparently that did super terribly. So we'll see. It'd be interesting to get a new mystery dungeon. Maybe Switch 2 will, because I'm definitely not going to be, if I didn't get the last one primarily because of the Switch, I'm not doing the next one on the Switch. Oh, and this one also talks about Pokemon TV. We already know it's getting sunset in March, and so they're going to probably promote a new streaming service. It'll have a lot more Pokemon media to watch, but it'll have like a monthly subscription.
What is Pokemon TV currently?
It's just random episodes you can go on the app and watch for free. Just like it'll have like 2 episodes from Diamond and Pearl, 2 episodes from Black and White, 2 episodes from Journeys, like.
That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it's just like a constantly rotating way to watch Pokemon for free.
That's fair.
And it gets people, like, watching the Pokemon anime gets you to play the Pokemon games, which gets you to buy Pokemon cards, which gets you to play Pokemon Go, and it's just, so.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some dark patterns taking place here.
They just want you deep into their ecosystem.
Yeah, it's that brand synergy,
Yeah.
That's how you turn players into payers.
Yep.
I mean, shoot, they got me.
Have I talked about this on the show yet?
Yes, you talked about it last week
Okay.
when we were dying.
Well, I got a shiny Ekans, just
Damn.
running errands with it, just auto catching and auto spinning Pokestops. I have
Yeah.
more Pokeballs than I did when I left the house, and I got a shiny Ekans, and nothing else too special. I'm kind of mad that the current event you have to fight Team Go Rocket a lot, and that's
Oh.
not one of those things you can do with an auto catcher. So I'd have
No.
to actually like
You have
find
to actually
somewhere
play
to
the
stop. And
That's what they're called. Go Rocket.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything's
Wow.
just go in front of it.
Yeah, it's really just the exact same stuff, but just go.
I mean, Jalen, honestly, are you surprised? New 3DS isn't the legitimate title of their console, which still boggles my mind.
I mean,
We gotta have the
yeah.
new Switch, not the
I mean,
Switch.
this is the Wii U people. Like, I
Yeah.
get that, but still.
I mean, Pokemon Company, to be fair, like, this is not a Nintendo Direct that's happening. This isn't even a Pokemon Direct that's happening. This is a Pokemon Presents. Like, this is a Pokemon Company thing that's going to be happening. And there are probably going to be more rumors and leaks and stuff leading into it, so we'll see.
Mhm.
There's still supposed
Is
to
the
be
Pokemon Presents bigger than like a Pokemon Direct?
No, Pokemon Direct is like...
The biggest.
Yeah, that's like Nintendo is like, hey, y'all should pay attention to Pokemon instead of Pokemon just being like, ah!
You know, it's
Pokemon
Pokemon.
Presents have like a certain chaotic. Pokemon Sleep was announced at a Pokemon Presents. They
Forgot
have a
about that
certain
Oh my god.
like weird fucked up energy that I can really appreciate. They'll be like, we got Pokemon shirts. And they're like, the one guy came out promoting the Detective Pikachu movie and was like, also like, hey, Toho also put out this Godzilla movie. Y'all should go watch that. And then they like rushed him off the stage, and the person came, like the presenter came back and was like, yeah, I don't know why he brought up that Godzilla thing. That has nothing to do with Pokemon. So yeah, Pokemon Presents have a certain chaotic, and I mean, that's the thing. They're not talking about the big main series RPG, like the core.
Mhm.
Their biggest thing is like, hey, Pokemon Unite. You know that game where all these Pokemon look weird as shit and wear costumes that like.
I don't know. Snorlax be having that shit on. I ain't.
The clothes
Gotta
throw
listen
me
to that.
off so much. I'm getting more used to it because Pokemon and Pokemon Go will
Let me look
dress
at
up
this.
occasionally, but Pokemon, the samurai fits clean. Like Espeon in a kimono, clean. But like some of them, it's like Blastoise
Oh.
in a firefighter suit.
I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, I just don't like it. I'm not
Getting
trying to
too
yuck
old.
anybody's yum. Like, if you are playing Pokemon Unite and enjoying it, hey, I'm playing Pokemon Go and enjoying it. Like, do you? But it's just a personal thing for me.
I
of
do
like,
get really excited when I run into a Pokemon. Like an Eevee with a little hat on is like.
I'm still pissed
Marissa
about that
will look at me
Jolteon.
sideways when I'm like, "Oh, yeah, Eevee with a hat on. This is cute as shit."
Yeah,
She's
Pokemon
like,
need
"You're
more
a grown
hats.
ass man."
And
Pokemon Go
And-
is
I know.
really good about hats.
if you put a hat on anything, anything, instant improvement.
I don't know, man. I'm looking at Dragonite and the boxing fit. That's pretty cool.
Right? No, he needs a mailman's hat. He needs a postal service hat.
Okay.
Dragonite needs a
shout out back
postal
to
service hat.
The first movie.
I mean, that's a running theme. The two Pokemon that deliver mail are Dragonite and Pelipper.
Oh yeah.
They need
okay.
postal service hats.
A pseudo legendary is just a postal man.
Hey,
He's
hey,
the
it's
best
okay to
at
have
it
a
because he
job.
can fly through a hurricane like it ain't shit.
That's
It's okay
true.
to have a day job.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I'm out here making curveball throws because that's part of this time challenge.
little
I'm trying to
man,
get
yeah.
emote. Apparently, it gives you a shadow aura, which I could take it or leave it. But the pose you're doing is cool as hell. You're tossing a Pokeball in the air.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's basically
Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh, I sent you that. That was the thing where it was like, yeah. Oh, Shadow Kyogre. Not Shadow Kyogre is if you can fight Giovanni. Shadow Ho-Oh is just in raids right now.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
might want to hop on Campfire. I was going to tell you that when I realized that while playing Pokemon Go
What
today.
is campfire?
So, it's like this in-app thing that all you do is you just set a campfire name. And for me, I had to use Anton the number 6 with 2 X's because they didn't let me do 3. Like, my name in Pokemon Go has 3 X's, but on Campfire, they're like, nah, we're not going to let you do that.
Yeah. Fair.
But, Campfire is basically like online matchmaking for Pokemon Go. So if you're
Okay.
somewhere and you're trying to do a route with a party, you can party up through Campfire. Or
Yeah.
if you're somewhere where there are no raids and you're trying to do remote raids. And I've also found out that I was like, these remote raid passes are slick expensive. It's because they jacked up the prices in 2022.
Damn.
Because they want to get people back outside.
Well, don't jack up the prices.
But how else they're supposed to get you
They
outside?
already have local only raids. That's the thing. So there are raids that you can remote into, and then there are raids that you have to be there to do. Like in the raid tab, it's like local only or like just more general raids.
Or like, let me see. Let me set up this campfire.
It's really super easy. But yeah, you'll need remote raid passes, and all you do is you go into Campfire, you say party up, it'll like put you in a queue, and then it'll show you the raid. It'll be like, do you want to do a Landorus? Do you want to do a Steelix? Do you want to do a Ho-Oh? Do you want to do a Skarmory? Just listing off shit that would be in the raid pool right now. And then just go in there, say I'm ready in the chat, and they'll send you a link that'll open your browser and then open Pokemon Go, and you'll have a raid invite on that little tab that shows the 3 Pokemon under the binoculars on the right side.
That's
like
cool.
You go there, go to the raid tab, and you'll have an invite to that raid, and you'll just need a remote raid pass to join it.
Sounds convenient. At least I have some type of infrastructure for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they figured out a lot during COVID, and there actually seem to be a lot of big updates coming to the game this year. They've already shown like people in like the beta branches have it where they can revive all Pokemon. Because like if you're out and really raiding and really battling and stuff like that, you'll need to be reviving your Pokemon. And right now you have to do it one by one and heal them one by one. But they're showing that they have like a revive all, heal all, and that'd be really convenient. So
yeah,
I never feel like it's that big of an issue, considering you're only using like 3 Pokemon typically, and so you're just tapping. It's pretty fast.
but that gets tiring after a while.
Yeah, I would say it's
about-
more inconvenient in like regular Pokemon games when you're reviving. You have to do like one at a time.
No, you just go to the Pokemon Center and get your entire set healed.
that Pokemon Center's IRL would be goated in Pokemon
Oh
Go.
yeah, that would be cool.
Like, just go there, heal up all your Pokemon, not have to use resources.
Like that would end up being a meeting spot for shit to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could just make certain gyms or certain Pokestops into Pokemon Centers. Because they already added on, like, the showcase thing to Pokestops where they'll be like, okay, right now, Mankey is spawning a lot in the pool. So we're gonna have showcases for people to like. If somebody caught an extra large Mankey, they can get a reward for that.
Okay.
And like the community day, certain Pokestops will have the community day Pokemon, so you're essentially just competing with all the people who are also playing the community day in the same area you're playing in.
Yeah.
So they could really just, on some of those Pokestops, throw a little Nurse Joy.
Do it. With a Chansey?
Right.
Chansey's the next community day, and apparently Sugarloaf is a good place to go play indoors, so I might do that.
Sugarloaf, like a mall?
Yeah.
I haven't been to that mall in forever.
Me either, but I also don't want to be out in the cold. But I
I feel
also
that.
don't really care about Chansey like that, so I might just like get the
Skip it.
ticket
Yeah.
and just like drive around with my auto catcher going and see what happens. Because most of my
Might as
Porygons
well.
from the Porygon community day, my auto catcher caught.
Yeah. Makes sense.
My first one was legit because like the event started, I tapped the research thing, saw a Porygon, it was shiny. So
Mm-hmm.
that's 2 community days in a row. My first encounter of the day is shiny.
Is it shiny? I definitely got a
West we're
shiny.
going.
Oh, yeah. Right.
What were you saying, Chris?
I definitely got a shiny earlier this time than waiting damn near 2 hours last time.
Last time you didn't get the ticket. You were just having a bad time last time.
It was. I mean, it
Well,
was
the
fine. I got
rally
enough.
one.
Like at the rally, I got. Eventually, they started.
Yeah. Eventually, you were just soaking up all the RNG.
Mm-hmm. I wish. Granted, I know it's been raining. I kind of wish it was today. Was last week's community day? Just because it's like a cool, nice 65 degrees.
Yeah.
Temp's been nice, but it's been raining like a bitch.
Raining like a bitch.
But auto catcher, having
Yeah.
errands to run
Mm-hmm.
in places with a lot of concentrated Pokestops. I even was sitting in traffic and I was like, oh, I'm right here by this gym. Let me drop off a Pokemon.
Nice.
So I probably got 6 Pokemon currently occupying gyms.
Just out there.
Yeah.
Collecting
Well, I took over the.
rewards.
They get 50 Pokecoins a day. Well, it takes, I think, 3 to 8 hours to get 50 Pokecoins. And if a Pokemon's knocked out of the gym, you get those 50 Pokecoins. And then. But the max is 50 a day.
That's cool.
So.
And how many Pokecoins you need to do anything?
200 at the least to get more items in your bag, some Pokeballs.
Well, 100 gets you 20 Pokeballs. You can get an incense for 40. You can get a lucky egg for 80.
Yeah.
Pokemon
That's not
storage. Postcard pages, which I've never run out of, even though I pin a bunch of postcards. Those are 100. Lure modules are 180.
Damn.
Okay. That's
So,
a
50,
reasonable ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's just kind of weird how the system's set up. So, I'll get the exact same amount for a Pokemon that I put out around 6 o'clock today as I will for my Porygon Z that's been defending this little playground in my neighborhood that's the gym, and it's been there for 2 weeks.
Damn.
Oh, so there isn't a time-based multiplier where it's the longer a Pokemon goes, the more you get?
50 is the cap.
Okay.
So
But each day, that Pokemon that's sitting in that park is
No.
getting 50 more. Oh, you literally, and you can't retrieve it back either.
no,
Damn.
it has to be knocked out.
You gotta get
So that's
a
why I
team,
will.
an opposite team that's just friend that's just like, hey, can you go kill my Pokemon real quick?
Well, no, I just know there are certain gyms that I sit in traffic near on my way to and from work that flip on a
Yeah.
regular basis because
So
they're
you just
in
use
heavily
those.
populated areas. So I'm sitting in traffic long enough. It'll be already blue team and it'll have a free slot. I throw a shiny Rowlet in there to flex. And then by the time I get home, the gym's been taken over, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some Pokemon coins out of it.
Nice.
They should add contests,
Like what kind of contest?
like Pokemon contests, like from Gen 3.
Yeah, that's basically
Oh,
what showcases are.
Okay.
yeah. Well, except you're not like showcasing your moves, which I really liked in Gen 3. Like there was a
Yeah,
strategy
but
to it.
there are such fewer moves.
That's true.
Like you're not doing like 4 different moves on any given Pokemon. I guess you could have
It's
2 like tap attacks and 2 charge attacks.
yeah, that's the most you get, right? 2 charge attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe they'll do
Okay.
like they did in Gen 3 where it's like, oh, this move is cool.
This move is
It's like
cool.
this move is yada yada. And then it'll just be about making sure you have the right type of move.
Yeah, I mean with how much like trading and battling and
Mm-hmm.
shinies and like IVs and EVs and all of that stuff, the more considering how fleshed out all those systems are, I could see them if they decided to do that, which I could totally like. I know Niantic is one of the thousands of game developers around the world that has had significant layoffs, but
Yeah.
we
They
could.
Yep.
all like we can't escape it. We are
Mm-hmm.
27 days in and we've already had what, three?
3 big company, yeah.
Three sets of
No,
layoffs?
3,000 layoffs.
No, 3 different sets of layoffs. Like 3 different
It's
companies.
both. It's
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
3,000 people lost their
So,
jobs from like
Damn.
yes.
spanning like 3 different companies.
And Microsoft was half of it.
Right.
But yeah, so last year there were 10,000 layoffs in the games industry over the course of 2023. And so far in 2024, 27 days in, 3,000 layoffs have already happened.
I mean, I don't think it's going to get any better.
Oh no, that course correction is about to hurt.
Yeah.
Like, this is about to get rough. Well, this is already rough, but this is actually about to get worse. And then where we are now in the next couple of years, we're going to start seeing like, well, we're already going to start seeing less games come out. But then those games are going to be smaller.
Mm-hmm.
A good chance they're going to be more expensive. Like,
Well, you don't think like Hellblade 2 is a smaller game, but is less expensive. You don't think that's going to be the a growing trend?
that game, Hellblade, is still expensive. A lot
yeah,
of that is subsidized by Microsoft, but
Yeah.
Hellblade, they've been
Hellblade's an
in.
expensive ass game.
Yeah.
Well, not
That,
like expensive as in like I meant the cost to buy the game
All that
is
mocapping,
cheaper.
mocapping ain't cheap.
Well,
well,
no,
yeah.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the cost to buy the game isn't $70. I think it's like 50.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're saying because of that, because it's a shorter experience game, it's a cheaper game, even though it's
That's
expensive
all
and
that
very
is just
expensive.
straight up marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of that's just marketing.
that's what I was saying. You don't think that's going to be a trend of these?
No, because they don't learn their lessons.
And
No.
also, like, right, they
That's
don't learn
fair.
their lessons. They're profit driven
Mm-hmm.
and they don't have a real mind for thinking more than 3 days ahead because the people who are running these companies aren't the people who are running the companies are the same people who are like, I don't understand why these nerds are playing video games in the first place. But they see the money being made. So they're just
Right.
like, just go and make more money. Oh, this is making a whole bunch of money, do this. And it's like, that's not how, at the end of the day, what's a creative endeavor actually works. Because that's how that's how we get every company all of a sudden pivoting to live service. This is how everybody wanting to have their own MCU, like, and then they don't have the wherewithal to stop.
Like, I can give you a play-by-play for a game this year, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's coming out towards the end of the fiscal year. I guarantee you, by the end of March, so it comes out the end of February, by the end of March, even though that game's going to sell millions of copies and we're going to see posts a couple days out of like this many millions sold in the first weekend, or like the most pre-ordered Final Fantasy game of all time, or like we're going to see a lot of stats like that. When it comes around to like close the fiscal year, they're going to be like, no, it was a failure. They're putting all this marketing money and all this into it, and
also another thing about it is also with Square particularly, they do expect their successes to automatically override every dumbass decision they've made this year. Hence, basically what happened to 16. It's like you made a lot of dumbass decisions that year that nothing that big is going to override.
Yeah.
And the fact that like the big games that are considered console sellers that are, you know, all like this or that are hella expensive to make.
Yeah.
Because of their presentation. And it's just, we're just going to get less games. Hopefully we'll get smaller games, more reasonable games, but it's also one of those things where it's like on a certain level, the average person really just wants big novel experiences. Yeah. Like you either have to be the biggest thing, which are what the console warriors tend to argue about, or you need to be something a little novel and a little stupid.
Like the console warrior fanboy things on the internet have reached such a point of being so annoying that it's like, even as somebody who really likes PlayStation and really likes certain properties from Nintendo, and like I feel bad even calling myself a PlayStation fan because of some of these people I see with like PlayStation avatars. That's why I changed like my header image on Discord from like the PlayStation thing, because it was just like, no, I cannot be associated, because they're the people who are like Xbox fanboys who are fighting these fights with Xbox avatars, and then they're the people with PlayStation Blue headers on their Twitter profile who are fighting like all of these petty, annoying online arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of that is just the fact that, like, at the end of the day, that's the lowest common denominator. Like, that's part of it. It's like, that's the fan base that is the lowest common denominator. They're not really there. Like, a lot of times if you see, like, and I know most of this is like Twitter engagement, but they'll be like, oh, this is the most impressive boss fight. And it's just really good visuals, mechanically kind of just running around.
Did you see the one that they were like, this is the best boss fight of the generation? And it's the Horizon boss fight?
Yes.
That's the one I'm just like, you're delusional. Like,
well,
yes, the graphics look great, but
that's the thing about it, though. It's like, it's giving that sense of scale. It's like when you really get down into it, it's like, yeah, you're basically just waiting for the weak point to show up so you could hit it and move on. But it's presented with such a sense of scale that, you know, the average person would really enjoy that. Someone who isn't super deep into it.
Yeah.
Because that's also something else about
Elden
the
Ring
lowest
came
common
out this
denominator.
generation, though. Like, you can't.
Horizon.
There has been a Monster Hunter game this generation.
My opinion on Horizon basically comes down to the games are all right. they just never come out at a time where you would actually be able to sit down and appreciate them before, the fan base gets weird.
Yeah.
Well,
because the
Breath
first
of the
Horizon came
Wild.
out right next to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
The second one comes right next to Elden Ring. Like, it's kind of what happens a lot.
Yeah. I feel like as a person who's never really tried out a Horizon game, I've never also heard many people talk about Horizon.
Because at the end of the day, it is what if Sony made Breath of the Wild, and it has all the Sony-isms in a Breath of the Wild game. It is. It's if
No.
Sony made Breath of the Wild.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Anton, what would you call it? Well, how would you describe Horizon?
It's an open world Sony but it's not like Genshin is closer to Breath of the Wild than Horizon is.
Yeah.
But I mean that's because they share mechanics. It is not at all like Zelda's a Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
Realizing I'm wearing a Zelda shirt. But Breath of the Wild is like an open world Zelda game. Horizon is just an open world game. It's very like you're clearing the fog of war. It's a lot more like an old Assassin's Creed, where it's like you're synchronizing waypoints and there are optional objectives around the map.
If Sony made Breath of the Wild, I'm sticking to that. It has all the classic Sony-isms of how Sony handle Sony's.
But it's nothing like Breath of the Wild. Like Breath of the Wild doesn't have like a quest log really. Like
I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1. I'm saying is if they both had the exact same idea for a game, you would get Breath of the Wild out of Nintendo and you would have got Horizon out of Sony. I thoroughly believe that.
Horizon's closer to Ghost of Tsushima in format than it is to Breath of the Wild. Like I just think it's
both shares the Sony-isms. Like that's the thing of like that's
right.
A lot of that comes from the Sony. Just because
Breath of the Wild is an open world game, Breath of the Wild structurally is nothing like, outside of the fact that they take place in an open world.
They kind of are. They kind of are like, oh, we have this big objective we have to handle. So you go into town, you interact with the townsfolk so you can get ready to do the big thing. Then you go and do the big thing. And then you move to the next settlement of people so you can do the next big thing because you have to destroy X amount of big things for you to go be set up to do the final battle. And then you go do the final battle. Like, I know I'm simplifying things immensely. And if you really got into the nitty gritty of it, it's like, yes.
No, even in broad strokes, I would not classify those two games in the same. Elden Ring and Horizon 2 are closer than even Breath of the... And those are nothing alike. But it's closer than Breath of the Wild. Like, as somebody who's... I've played way more of the first Horizon than I have of the second Horizon, and I played way more of Breath of the Wild than I played Tears of the Kingdom, and I played more Elden Ring than I played any of these games. Even in a general sense, outside of the open world, there are almost no similarities between, like, the concepts, the themes, the worlds, the story structure, I just don't think that Horizon and Breath of the Wild, like outside of them both coming out within a month of each other and like,
oh no, they came out within weeks of each other, if not days.
But yeah.
I don't know. I've played a fair amount of all the games mentioned. That's how I feel about it. I can see why you disagree. But I don't know. I feel like if Sony sat down and was like, and they tried to make a game that was like Breath of the Wild, you would end up more or less with Horizon.
But isn't Horizon more linear with a open world cover over it? And Horizon, not Horizon. Like
No, it's I
Zelda, you
think
can kind of like explore off a
Right.
beaten
There
path
are
more.
no. You
You're
set a
like,
waypoint on your map, and there's a dotted line leading you there, like there is in Horizon. You can't do that in Zelda.
I'm not saying that's not necessarily why I'm saying they're the same game with different ideas. Like
okay,
it's not, and I'm not just talking about in the nitty gritty. Like, oh, you set a waypoint, you go to the waypoint. You can't set up waypoints in Breath of the
Well,
Wild.
you kind
Like,
of can. You can drop pins that you can see. Like, if you see something off in the distance with your binoculars, you can drop a pin on it. And so then that pin will be on your map and you can head in that direction. So you can kind of do that, but it's not literally putting a dotted line on the ground like
and I get, yeah, and I
GPS.
feel like that's one of the differences you would get between Nintendo making these ideas, and Sony making these ideas. Like,
See, Nintendo
they,
just doesn't. It's
like I
more of a
said,
Ubisoft open world than a Nintendo open world.
um,
It's very Far Cry. It's very Assassin's Creed. It is
yes,
very
it has a lot of those in there. And I'm like I said, I still believe that if we studied this far enough, we would come to the same root. I'm not saying they grew into the same game. I'm not, because Breath of the Wild has a sense of majesty that, let's be real, I don't expect to get out of Horizon. But I will say, I think some of the ideas are just. I could see where you would get to Horizon if you were starting with Breath of the Wild, and I see where you would get from Breath of the Wild if you started from Horizon. I'm not saying they're 1-to-1, but it would be like how what are two plants that don't look nothing alike that are completely alike? Or like how this random ass cat looking animal will be its closest native relative is a hippo. It's kind of like that. But that's how I feel of this. And with a little bit more time, I'm pretty sure I could create a better argument for it. But I do believe it. I do believe it. No. I'm not talking about Robbie. I'm not talking about in quality. I'm not talking about in quality. I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about like just the design ideas. Like, oh, we're gonna run around and do X, Y, and Z.
well, a lot of Zelda is physics based, whereas Horizon is not physics based.
I don't. That's
That's like the difference between like Portal and Splitgate. It's like, yes, they both have the exact same Portal concept, but one is a puzzle game with like realistic working physics, and the other is a competitive shooter where portals are the gimmick.
I don't know. I'll figure out a way. I'll come back later with a better wording of my argument. Because, like, Robbie, you're all right that the world is, like, how the world is designed informs the way it was designed and all that. But I think they're a lot closer in relation than we're giving it credit for.
And I will give Horizon, like, while I do have the Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, like, collector's guides, I also have the Art of Horizon Zero Dawn as one of, like, my art books because, like, the machine design in Horizon is, like, next level. Like, but I didn't get art books for Zelda. I got more like guidebooks of they have 1,000 Koroks to find, and I'd rather have like a 4-page explainer that'll just tell me how to get all 1,000 Koroks versus. And while Zelda, like, I will argue Zelda iconography is like super strong, like throughout the entire series. Like that hand symbol from Tears of the Kingdom that I got a pin of, and that was on my window in the Game of the Year overlay. Like Zelda iconography, just super strong. The Triforce is instantly recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying those games read its strange siblings to me.
Well, speaking of strange family dynamics, Tekken 8 is out, and I don't think any of us have had the chance to play it yet, but I know the Rubies have been all over it, so I've just been enjoying going in their server and seeing just Tekken happening. They got Jawan. I feel like fighting games have been getting Jawan recently in a way that for a really long time it was a new fighting game would come out and a lot of us would get it, but Jawan would be like, no, I'm not good at fighting games. Now Jawan picked up Street Fighter at launch, picked up Tekken at launch. So
It changes things when you have like a group of actually people who are dedicated to playing.
well,
fighters.
Dragon Ball Fighters
Yeah.
took over, and Jawan was nowhere near that. Like Jawan was like, "Nah, I'm good." Jawan was a hard pass on Dragon Ball Fighters, and Dragon Ball Fighters has been one of the strongest moments, at least in our orbit of people, of a fighting
Yeah.
game having a bunch of people playing it all at the same time.
But you also need the right fighting game.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Tekken and
It's got to
Street
click
Fighter.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And maybe tag games didn't click as well as, good old Tekken.
you can make Dragunov have a fade.
Oh god, the Drake memes. Why is everyone in that game Drake now? I will say Tekken 8 is the first game that I'm like, oh, we're officially at the point where it's like my PC can't really run this stuff anymore. I'm finally at that point where I'm
Well,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna need to get some.
Kind of great.
Really, it's just I just need a new motherboard, a new processor. That's really it. And it's like if I'm gonna up the processor, I might as well up the motherboard.
Yep.
That's all I need to do.
I need a new
Yeah,
motherboard, and I'm
honestly.
at the point that if I up the motherboard, I might as well up the processor as well.
Yeah. And if I'm gonna up the motherboard, I might as well get a motherboard with 4 RAM slots in it instead of 2.
Oh yeah, I got
Well, that's
4 RAM
standard now with
slots.
that.
Maybe get an extra couple of.
I need a Wi-Fi.
You don't need to necessarily up
card
your
built in.
motherboard as much as you need to update your processor. And updating your processor more times than not requires you to update your motherboard, especially if you're going to the current generation of.
I mean, I might as well because I did skip like the last 2. Like I want to say I got like a Ryzen 5 in my machine.
Well, I mean, they
Ryzen-
still
what's
make
the,
Ryzen 5. You gotta-
what's the series?
Crap, I have no idea. I
Mine
would
is
have
a 1600X, so I'm guessing yours, just judging by like the spec, you probably have like a 1350.
I don't know. I'd have to
Damn,
check.
are you that many generations behind? Which is fine.
I mean,
don't
you
need
were
to
there when I
upgrade it.
when I built my PC, dog. I have not.
That was
upgraded-
like 5 years ago.
right.
No, that
Right.
was more than like 5 years ago,
Was that
because
like 6 years ago?
we built my PC like 5 years ago.
That's fair.
I thought we did both of those in the same year.
No,
You built yours, and then I built mine like a couple months later. And then I think I just upgraded some stuff because when I built my PC, I built it during the Bitcoin era, and I couldn't find any parts.
All right, there was a whole pandemic time skip. Like, I'm thinking,
Yeah. I think we built yours in 2018, 19.
What the
19,
fuck?
I think 2019. we
Oh,
built
right. 'Cause you were
Anton's.
still at the first apartment we were hanging out with you in. You were still
Yeah.
there. What the fuck?
well, no, that wasn't the first apartment that I would hang out with Chris in.
Jalen was at that one, the
Yeah,
North
no,
Druid
that-
Hill ones.
Yeah. That's where we went to build my PC after we
Oh, yeah,
got the part.
yeah. But by
No,
the
that
time,
was the second one. That was in Decatur. That's when I moved to your side of town. And that was 2018. Damn. We're just telling me my timeline of where I've been.
You can know where I lived in the past.
But you don't know where I am now. Please don't
He's
try.
literally underground.
Yeah, I am.
Fucking wild. What is time?
It is an enigma.
I have a 1600 6-core Ryzen 5.
Yep.
Oh, so
Yeah, I
we
got a
have the
16.
same generation then. I have a
Mhm.
1600X.
No, I have just a 1600.
Yeah.
What?
So yeah. So I'm at the point. I really noticed that when I was thinking about getting Alan Wake 2, because I was about to get it, but I was like, let me make sure my PC can run that. And it was like,
Nope.
yeah, this is the first one out of your reach, bucko. You best to do this quickly before Dawn Trail comes out, motherfucker.
Oh yeah, that graphical update.
All right.
I
I
am
need it,
glad
and I want
we're
it.
to the point in the generation that next gen exclusives are coming out and people aren't complaining. Because Tekken is only on current gen consoles. It is not on PS4, Xbox One.
That is
And
so
no,
annoying.
I have not heard a peep about anybody complaining about it, which is so good. Like,
Well, the next gen consoles are now accessible, like regularly accessible.
yeah, but people
Yeah.
complained about Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
end of last year.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it is Spider-Man has a more average fan base than a fighting game.
That's true.
That's why it's like you'll have Street Fighter will sell more than that's why Mortal Kombat will sell more than Street Fighter, but you'll consistently see more people playing Street Fighter. It's people buy and play around with Mortal Kombat, but people play Street Fighter.
Yeah, Street Fighter 6 is going to stand the test of time a lot better than Mortal Kombat 1 is.
I mean, that's how it always is. It's like those games, Mortal Kombat will outsell Street Fighter real quick, and then it will pretty much drop off the face of the earth until the DLC character comes out, and then once they're done with their DLCs, the game basically dies again. Because people don't play Mortal Kombat like that. Not saying it doesn't have its dedicated
Right.
base, but it ain't no Street Fighter and it
Nobody's
ain't no Tekken.
busting out the PS3 to play MK9.
Heck, no one. Heck, they're not even
Yeah.
freaking. God, what is it name?
Injustice,
Fucking what is? No, not Injustice. Type Lumia.
Melted
That
Blood.
fucking game. Melty Blood. Yeah, you aren't gonna have people running sets in the fucking bathrooms to try and get some Melty Blood in with Mortal Kombat. But that's the thing about all NetherRealm games. They're like super popular the first 6-ish months that they come out, and then you basically never hear about them again.
Well, you'll hear about it when I get the game and all the DLC for like $30 on sale in a couple years and play through it. Be like, yeah, that was really good because that's what I did with 11.
And heck,
Like
that's
11
also,
is really good, but I also got like $300 worth of content for $30. So
yeah, and that's also one of like the strengths of like Mortal Kombat though. That is a lot more in contested these days. Is Mortal Kombat was like one of the only fighting games that you could really say was feature complete when they came out. Like they had actually interesting single player content. They had with their story modes, their various towers and side activities. Like
and Tekken has that this time. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like all of them have it this time. Like most of the fighting games that are coming out are feature complete. They all have everything you would need. And that's one, a breath of fresh air, and two, like it's another reason why, a game like Mortal Kombat may not last in the public eye as long.
Does Mortal Kombat have crossplay?
Probably. I'd be surprised if it didn't.
Let's see.
I'm just glad we're in an era where like everything has rollback and everything has crossplay.
Yeah,
As far as
as
like
they
fighting
should.
games.
Right.
Like good netcode plus not splitting your player base.
Right. And also at this point, that will kill your. We're at a point where that will legitimately kill your game. Like you want your fighting game to not actually have a chance. Do like DNF Duel did.
DNF Duel didn't have crossplay.
DNF Duel did not have a lot of things that it needed to actually be a functioning game in this modern age. And then it's taken them so long to actually start implementing any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, heck, its first DLC character still isn't out yet.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, the one they announced like 6-7 months ago. Yeah, that character is not. It was not.
To show how bad DNF Duel is doing, like they were giving it away for free on the Epic Games Store a little while ago. You know the thing they do with games like a couple of generations old?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's. And
Well,
that's
that's
why
fine.
DNF Duel is dead.
Arc System is out here doing Guilty Gear and Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. We're getting 2B out of it, so.
And that's the thing about Rising. Rising also didn't have rollback back when it first came out. I mean, yeah, Versus.
Versus
Not Rising.
didn't have Rising.
Yeah, Versus.
Is,
Yeah.
yeah, it still does. Like OG Versus still doesn't have rollback. That's why they had to put out an entirely different game to give it rollback
Exactly.
and
now it's
crossplay.
right now it's a game that actually has a chance in hell to actually keep an audience.
I still have the free version installed on my system. I played the Fall Guys mode. Did a little versus match.
Nice.
Yeah.
The last story I wanted to talk about, because I just realized we've been going for over an hour. The last story I want to talk about is starting in this year, 2024, Georgia law now taxes digital purchases.
Trying to get their cut.
Yeah.
Well, I
Government's
remember
always
for a
gonna get
while,
theirs.
like Amazon and stuff like that. Like if you were shopping online at all, you weren't paying tax on the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's interesting to see, like, because for so long, like, the price of a game is the price of the game. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
check out for the exact amount of the game, but now there's just a little bit of tax added on. Shouts out to the Georgia state government.
The government.
Yeah. I mean, the government's always gonna find a way to get theirs.
And also the answer will always be fuck the government. That's just a fundamental law of the universe.
Yeah, sales tax is always a thing, Bravi. Except there are a couple states that are like, or I know there are definitely countywide like
Mhm.
things where they don't have sales tax, but then they're paying like higher property taxes and stuff. Like they're still paying for it in the end, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
in Georgia, taxes are pretty high in Georgia.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Well, does anybody have one more thing? Anybody play anything interesting this week?
No.
Nah, I've just been on 14.
I've just been on Pokemon Go.
Like my
'Cause it's
dancer.
like it's football season.
It is football season.
No, I just literally 2 guys got COVID last week, and so I was spending all week covering them. I'm gonna get a
Ooh.
fat paycheck, but I didn't play anything at all. I came home and played sleep.
Oh, so you did get on Pokemon Sleep. Okay, I see you.
Yeah, I got the Pokemon Go Plus, and it apparently tracked my sleep one night, but I don't know. I'm trying to track it through Pokemon Go, not Pokemon Sleep, because in Pokemon Go, there's a Snorlax with a, like, sleep hat on that I really want.
I'm just saying, give Pokemon hats.
They do in Go. All the time.
Well, give Pokemon hats in a game I'd actually care about playing. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, you can
How
give
about-
Pikachu hats in, like, all the games since Sun and Moon. Because they did that line of Pikachus with Ash's hat from every generation of the anime.
They did do that. That was cute. That was
That is
cute.
cute. Yeah.
And also, Atma farming in this game is still pissing me off. Just do fates for a 1 in 3 chance of getting an Atma. It's okay. It's not like you won't get an Atma after like 7 fates. It's okay.
Those drops were bad. Shadowbringers drops were a lot better with doing the fates.
Yeah, I will say the Shadowbringers relic weapon, the one from Boja, you don't actually have to do nearly as much Boja as I thought, but you still have to do a lot of Boja.
Yeah. They give
'Cause you
you, at
gotta
a
hit
certain
rank
point,
10.
they give you a choice of doing like crystal towers, and then I think it's the Heavenward raid
Uh,
that you can
yeah,
get
like
certain of the pieces from.
the first real step you got to do, you can just grind Heavensward Fates for the materials instead of doing Boja.
I did a lot of that.
The second part, you're either going to be doing Boja, or you're going to have to wait 6 days to do leveling roulette, and then it's more Boja. Then you have to do the you have to do either more Boja or Crystal Tower.
Yeah. Did that too. I kind of went back.
But you would have to do Crystal Tower 15 times.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's and then the next part is like, hey, one time, do fucking Heavensward Alliance raids. It's like I will state this is more trifling than the Realm Reborn. What made the Realm Reborn relic trifling was just the sheer volume of things you actually had to do. Because it's just like grind fates until you get all 6 Atmas and do this and do that. It's stuff you for the most part you could just do like sitting down.
Yeah.
Like couple of just knock out a couple of these a day and you're good. It's some of these are just
they're egregious.
Yeah, they feel like quite a lot. But that's all I got.
Okay. Well, remember you can follow us all collectively around the internet, cheesycontrollerpodcast.com. Follow me on Instagram at Anton6 with 2 X's after it. Chris?
You can find me in the Discord.
All right. And Jalen?
Squid Bishop on the internet.
All right. This has been a Know It's Good production. The video version is edited by Chris. The audio version is edited by Akuma Santi. Until next time, keep it cheesy.